Good evening, everyone. Tonight, a News Channel 5 investigation of Tennessee's Capitol Hill reveals how those who have the power make the rules or sometimes just ignore the rules they don't like.
This is especially true in the state house, where, as chief investigative reporter Phil Williams discovered, your lawmakers can introduce major legislation with no notice to the public, and they can kill bills without you even knowing who did it. And Phil, you've been watching the lawmakers pretty closely this session.
Absolutely. And a couple of examples of bills that were killed. One to require high schools to tell seniors how they can register to vote. Another to just study whether college student IDs can be used for voting. Both killed this past session in committee on voice votes.
Got a proper motion and second.
All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
How one views democracy in Tennessee's General Assembly depends in part upon where you sit.
Senator Crow votes no.
In committee on the Senate side,
Senator Kelsey votes aye.
committee members themselves decide whether bills live or die.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes and 2 noes.
Senate Bill 2168 is headed to the Committee on Calendar.
While on the House side,
all opposed say no. No. The noes have it. Bill fails.
that power is wielded almost exclusively by the people who chaired the committees.
Bill passes, it's on its way to full commerce.
This is not democracy, as far as I'm concerned.
And Democrat Gloria Johnson,
democracy is dead here in Tennessee as it stands right now.
And House Democratic Caucus Chair Vincent Dixie are not alone in their concerns. Is this system broken?
The amendment system? Absolutely. This is where we need transparency.
It was a process we saw play out in real time this session as we watched seemingly innocuous bills being amended in committee to make dramatic changes. Tori Venable represents the libertarian group Americans for Prosperity.
This voice vote thing, we've seen plenty of committees. I'm sure you did a piece on that Airbnb one where it sounded one way and it went another way.
All in favor say aye. All opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it.
You have committee chairs single-handedly deciding whether bills live or die. Is that democracy?
I don't think they single-handedly do that.
While House Speaker Cameron Sexton insists he doesn't see a problem, we had watched it happen again and again.
Let's put Tennessee in line with the Constitution.
Here, a bill to require state election officials to simply study the possible use of student IDs by college students to vote was gavelled dead by Murfreesboro Republican Tim Rudd.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. Nay. I move that the bill fails.
Before the voice vote was even finished, activists later confronted him about the vote.
How many do we have?
I go with the voice level.
We wanted to give Rudd a chance to explain.
You gavelled a bill dead before you even heard the votes. Can you explain that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can you stop and...
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
In fact, the House committee rules say all votes constituting final action on any bill or resolution shall be by roll call vote. But with Republicans holding an absolute supermajority,
All those opposed say no. 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 The noes have it. I'm sorry, Bill fails.
there's no one to actually make them follow the rules. What I hear you saying is they're just making up these rules as they go along.
You heard me correctly. What we're experiencing now is really just an abuse of power. They have so much power and they don't know how to wield it.
And when those voice votes occur, legislative cameras focus on the chair.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. The noes prevail.
So the public cannot see how the members vote.
People are paying more and more attention these days, and they are trying to hide what they are doing up here.
The House Speaker downplayed those concerns.
I think what you have is you have a process where the sponsor of any legislation in the House, when they're standing up there, can request a roll call vote.
Chairman Dixie, you're recognized on your bill 2489.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before I start, I'd like to request a roll call vote.
I'm sorry we won't be able to do that because we've already voted on the amendment.
Yet here in the House Local Government Committee, Vincent Dixie's request for a roll call vote was denied because, according to the chair, the committee had already voted to add a technical amendment to the bill. That bill, drafted by area high school students, would simply have required schools to inform 18-year-olds how they could register to vote.
So I asked for a roll call vote because I wanted people to see the obstacles that we face here on a daily basis.
In fact, the House rules also say a roll call vote shall be taken at the request of the sponsor of the bill or resolution under consideration prior to any vote. The Republicans reinterpret that as prior to any votes of any kind being taken.
The rules say you can ask for a roll call before any vote.
Before any vote is taken.
That's not what the rules say.
I would have to refer you to the clerk.
And when it came time to vote,
All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no.
so what did the students hear?
It sounded like yes. It sounded like the yeas.
Noes have it.
The situation you're describing means these committee chairs are extremely powerful.
Yes.
More powerful than they've ever been.
And they definitely have a plan of what's going to happen.
This is an untimely amendment, so I need a motion to take this up.
In fact, we were in that same committee 2 weeks later as it considered a campaign finance bill pushed by the Speaker himself, and Chairman John Crawford allowed the committee to adopt a late-filed amendment most people had never seen.
All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment is accepted.
But go back to Vincent Dixie's school voting bill.
Okay, I do see that this amendment is untimely, so we will not be accepting that amendment.
There,
You will
Crawford
have to
ruled
run
that the
your-
Nashville Democrat could not present a late-filed amendment meant to clarify his bill.
But if somebody makes a motion, again, to, take it up, and it gets a second, then I don't have a choice but to take it to a vote.
But when that came up with Representative Dixie's bill,
Do we have an opportunity to vote the untimely amendment up or down? I know in some committees we do that.
you said that there was no way for that amendment to be considered.
Representative Miller, I know it's been done in other committees, but we've not accepted an untimely filed amendment, and I'm not going to start today. Well, I said we don't take up untimely filed amendments. We hadn't taken any up to that point all year long.
They absolutely have too much power, change the rules as it suits them.
It looks like we have an untimely filed amendment, so without objection, we will move to consider. Without objection, so moved.
In fact, we saw other committees readily accepting late-filed amendments the public had never seen, which is exactly what happened with the Speaker's campaign finance bill.
How can you expect someone to vote on something when they haven't read it? Vote on it to know what's in it?
And you think that is deliberate?
I absolutely think it's deliberate. It's a way to keep the public from knowing what they're doing until it's been voted on.
The ayes have it. House Bill 2143 will move to full finance.
Now, as the Speaker told me, the rules say that if there is a question about a voice vote, 3 members can raise their hands and demand a roll call, but there are just 1 or 2 Democrats on each of the subcommittees, and we never saw any signs of Republicans wanting to challenge their own chairs.
We heard about these surprise amendments, and even if they're filed in advance, they're not easy to find.
That's correct.
Taxpayers have to find this suspect. What can they do?
Well, the only thing that I can say is, taxpayers need to demand transparency. They need to demand that these votes be recorded, and they need to demand that the amendments be put into a place where they're easy to find.
Right. And read ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Phil, thank you.